York City, which incidentally has a bigger population than all but 2 of those states. In all of those jurisdictions right now, in those 7 states and New York City, it is illegal right now to sell puppies to pet stores unless those puppies are from a reputable breeder. Specifically, breeders selling puppies to pet stores in those states, they have to be registered with the USDA, which means they get a USDA number, and they have to have no violations in terms of their inspection reports. So, again, not every state does this, but 7 states and New York City do. And slowly but surely, experts in this field say that these laws that are in effect in these states now and increasing around the country, it's sort of becoming a new trend in state lawmaking. Experts in this field say those laws are slowly but surely having an effect on what people call puppy mills. They're making the puppy breeding business less profitable for people who can't pass those inspection reports, for people who abuse animals or keep animals in horrible conditions. I mean, USDA registration is not particularly hard to get. USDA inspections are not particularly hard to pass, but it's something. And importantly, it's enforceable. It's doable. It's a relatively simple standard. And how you enforce it, it's obvious, right? Pet stores or law enforcement in these states, if they want to check and see if a dog breeder is legally allowed to sell puppies to a pet store, they just get onto the USDA website, look them up by their license number, and then you read their inspection reports, see if they've got clean inspection reports. That's it. That's how you can enforce the law in these places that have that kind of a law. And all that data about who holds a license with the USDA and it's the inspection reports in terms of preventing animal abuse, all of that data for years now has been posted in easily searchable form on the USDA website. It's been there for years. It was there for years. It's no longer there. The Trump administration just took down all that data. They made no announcement about it. They gave no notice that they were doing it. There was no press release. There was no, misspelled 7 a.m. tweet from the president. There was no discussion at the circus-like press briefing. There was no explanation. They just did it. And by taking down all of that data in one fell swoop, they made it impossible to enforce the law in these states, home to almost 58 million people, where the law about not torturing puppies is based on people being able to look up this information that has always been publicly available to anyone. And that's one specific thing for those states. I mean, they've now got a law enforcement problem. What are those states in New York City? What do they do now that they've got on their books a law that they basically can't enforce anymore because they can't get access to the data that would let them enforce it? But even outside those states, it's another thing just for you as a consumer, whether or not you live in one of those 7 states. What if you personally want to avoid buying a dog from a breeder, a puppy mill that's known to have a record of abusing its animals? Whether or not you're going to buy it at a pet store, if you're going to buy an animal from a breeder, and wouldn't you want to know if they've been inspected by federal inspectors and found to be abusing or torturing or mistreating their animals? Wouldn't you want to know? And shouldn't you be able to know this is information that's in the public domain, right? If federal inspectors have gone to a place and found that at that site they're killing dogs or torturing cats or abusing horses or something, those are federal inspectors. They work for you. They work for us. That data that they found while working on the taxpayer dime, that's supposed to be for our benefit. But now, if you want to look up that information, they've gone out of their way to take it down. That data is no longer there for you. If you want to access that information now, the USDA, under the Trump administration, look what they're saying now. They invite you to file a Freedom of Information Act request to get that information. Oh, and then you can sit back and wait a few months, or probably years, for being honest about it. What on earth is this about? Right? I mean, whether or not you care about animal welfare, what is this about? What's the urgency here? I mean, no wonder they didn't make an announcement about this. No wonder they didn't want to explain why they were doing this. I don't think anybody remembers the part of the presidential campaign where the candidate got up in front of a big rally or sat down in front of an editorial board and explained that he wanted to be president in part so he can make sure that illegally operating puppy mills that abuse their baby animals can finally get some privacy and peace and quiet to get away with that now. I mean, do you remember that coming up? Honestly, where is this coming from? So the USDA, they dropped this data off their website. Apparently they dropped it on Friday. It took a little while to figure out that they had done it because, again, no announcement. But now that people have realized what they've done, what's missing, USDA is understandably getting some pushback. And this is where it gets to be a more broadly interesting story. Because when things go badly for the Trump administration, when they do something that doesn't land well, when they experience pressure about something they've done, we're starting to learn how the Trump administration responds in those circumstances. We're starting to see some patterns. And one of the things they do when something goes wrong, when they do something that doesn't have an explanation, when they get caught out doing something they really don't want to answer for, one of the things they have started doing in that circumstance is that they say, Obama did it. It wasn't us. Don't blame us. This is an Obama thing. They tried to do that for a while with the refugee ban. Remember, they tried to say that Obama had banned Iraqi refugees, and this was just a slightly different version of that policy. That argument did not work because Barack Obama was president really recently. We were all here. That kind of a claim is look-upable. People are like, Barack Obama banned Iraqi refugees? No answers. No response. No. Not true. I mean, you can check that stuff. You can talk to the people involved in that policy. You can read contemporaneous reporting. You can see that it's bullpucky. They tried to do that with the refugee ban. They tried to do it with the disastrous fatal raid in Yemen, which killed a U.S. Navy SEAL, injured 3 others, and killed a bunch of Yemeni civilians, including children. They tried to say that that disastrous military operation was only approved because Obama approved it. They said Obama's National Security Council, the deputies at his National Security Council, they approved that mission at a meeting on January 6th. Again, a claim like that is not going to work because the folks from the deputies meeting at the National Security Council under Obama, those folks are still around. That is an ancient history. You don't have to go dig those people out of deep retirement. Those people are around, they can answer for themselves. It's a matter of record as to whether or not they approved that mission. They did not approve that mission. That's on you guys. And now they're trying the Obama did it defense again on this freaking puppy torture thing. And this is what they posted on the USDA website, where they used to have all the information about inspections of places where they breed animals. Look at this. It says, in 2016, well before the change in the administration, the animal care section of the USDA decided to make adjustments to the posting of regulatory records. See, Obama did it. This is a decision made by the Obama administration. Don't blame us. Blame the USDA under Obama. Problem with that is that the people who ran the USDA under Obama are real people. They're not that old yet. They're around. They can speak for themselves. They can tell us whether or not they did that. And so here's the former spokesman for the USDA under the Obama administration saying to that attempt to weasel out of the now growing backlash to what they just did with the animal abuse reports. Quote, decision by USDA to remove animal abuse reports was not required. Totally subjective. Same option was given to past administration. We refused. And then he adds hashtag transparency. So the previous administration, the Obama administration, had the option to take down all of the inspection reports about people abusing animals around the country. So you could check to make sure you're not accidentally buying an animal from one of them. And so these 7 states could use that information to make sure their pet stores statewide didn't buy any animals from those people. The Obama administration says, yeah, we had the option to take down those abuse reports, but we did not. We chose not to. Don't blame us. Now the Trump administration has taken those reports down, and people are starting to notice, and they're trying to blame it on the Obama administration. It's ridiculous. And so we'll see what happens here. I mean, this does kind of fit the pattern of actions like this from the Trump administration that ultimately get reversed. It's amazing. They've only been there for 2.5 weeks, but we've already got patterns. We've already seen a bunch of these things where they have made a sweeping, radical, unannounced decision to disappear data or to gag public servants or do something else that shocks people. And then when the action gets noticed and there's a reaction, their MO is to reverse themselves, pretend like they never really meant to do that shocking thing in the first place. We've seen it happen a bunch of times already. We saw it happen with the Health and Human Services Agency. They had initially told staffers and scientists at HHS that they were forbidden from speaking about their work with anyone, including members of Congress. They weren't even allowed to respond to requests for information from members of Congress or congressional committees. They tried that with HHS. They got a big pushback, and they reversed that order. Happened with the EPA when they circulated plans to remove all of the climate data from the EPA website. An EPA employee publicized that instruction. They got obviously huge pushback, and then they reversed that decision. They climbed down, left the data still up there. Happened also at the Department of Energy during the transition. They demanded to have the individual names of all Energy Department employees who had ever worked on anything related to climate change. And because it was the transition, that agency was still run by Obama appointees, and they publicized that demand for names. And they pushed back directly on it and said no. And the Trump folks caved. They rescinded the request. We've even seen it happen before at this agency, at USDA. The Agricultural Research Service is part of the USDA. They've got about 2,000 scientists, public employees, scientists that work for USDA. The Trump folks had initially told those 2,000 scientists they were forbidden from discussing their scientific findings in any public-facing venue. It's like this casual order from the Trump folks to gag 2,000 scientists and prevent them from talking about their work. That order was leaked, there was pushback, and the Trump folks rescinded it. So we are only a couple of weeks in, but we are starting to see some patterns about who they try to blame and how they respond when they really get a shove back. And the USDA taking down public information about people who abuse puppies and kittens and horses? I mean, I don't know. But honestly, this really seems like it's one of those things that's going to get reversed, right? I mean, again, they did it with no announcement. They have come up with no argument or explanation for it other than Obama did it. People are just now figuring out that it happened. Obama did not do it. I think it's safe to assume you're going to hear a lot of barking from American dog lovers about this one. I don't see how they can stick with this at all. It may also be the case that what they did violates a court order between the USDA and the Humane Society, so the courts may force this data to go back up, even if public pressure does not. But I would sort of bet on public pressure on this one. Again, don't watch what they say, watch what they do. They're not announcing that they're taking down this data, they're just taking it down and hoping they can get away with it. When they don't get away with it and they get shoved back, more often than not, they cave. And with this one, how can they explain it? So, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the courts.